now. Before I start my presentation, can I have you guys just raise your hand and say your name? Start with Caroline.
Caroline.
Corey.
I'm Jeff.
Tiffany.
And Trent.
Kate.
Alex is the one here in Kent who has muted himself. All right. Here we go. Right, welcome to my final speech of my introductory public speaking class. I have been unreasonably fortunate in my life in the people who have chosen to be a part of that life. And I could probably do a speech like this on a dozen different people. And some of them are in the audience today, and some of them aren't. But I only have time to do one. So we're going to start by traveling back in time to 1991. I was 8 inches shorter. I weighed barely more than half of what I weigh now. And I was also very lonely. Jeans were getting baggy. Jean-Luc Picard was captain of the Enterprise on TV, and Captain Kirk was in charge on the big screen. The Soviet Union was starting to dissolve. MC Hammer, Nirvana, and Boyz II Men all had albums out, although it would take a little while for some of those to get to the radio where we were, which was the only way I had to find out about music at the time. Terminator 2, the last good one, The Addams Family, and Boys in the Hood were on the big screen. Everybody's hair had a lot of product, but we didn't call it product yet. Sometimes people tucked their t-shirts into their jeans. There were a lot of overalls. It was my freshman year of high school, and the person I'm here to talk about today had an impact on my life that year. And she did it by being one of a very few people who became my friend at a time when I didn't have any. She was then, just as she is now, well defended by an icy blue stare. Fine-boned, even delicate in some ways, but fearsome and frightening, like one of those tiny owls that's actually death on silent wings. Her name is Kate, and it's never anything else. Double never for Katie, which I think we can all agree is kind of a cutesy name for silent death. Today, she's my wife. But 30 years ago, she was one of just a few people who would see me as anything besides that weird kid. She moved away at the end of that school year, and we only had occasional contact over the next 10 years or so, mostly through a mutual friend because I am crap at correspondence. Then, about 20 years ago, you guys may not be able to tell this, but I can. She is right now mentally correcting that round number into an exact date and trying to beam it into my brain. About 20 years ago, we both happened to be in Harrisonburg, Virginia at the same time, even though neither of us lived there. I was in from Kansas City. She was in from Alexandria. I was in for a friend's wedding. She was in visiting her parents. I invited her to the wedding reception because I did not have a +1. And I didn't have any ulterior motives at the time, but tequila intervened with some other ideas. And that was the beginning of our second relationship, wholly different in character from our first. And it wasn't long before I loaded everything I owned into the back of a $600 Bronco 2 and drove 18 hours from Kansas City to Tallahassee, Florida, where she was also moving to go to grad school. While the nature of our relationship had changed from friendship to romance, the core of that relationship had not. Kate was still who she was, and I don't think that she can be any other way. It's her nature. She's still that little owl, fierce, fearsome, tiny and strong. She still has a stare that can freeze the blood in your veins. And all of that is still true. But all of that also hides what it is that glare and that sometimes prickly outside is protecting. And that's a heart that cares fiercely. And a woman that is fearsome in protecting those that she loves and is ready to go to war for her people if she needs to. I've been privileged to be one of those people that she loves. Privileged to stand beside her for these last 20 years. And on those rare times when her strength has failed her, I have been privileged to be strong for her. Privileged to care for her, and even a few times, privileged to see how much courage it takes for her to love the way that she loves. Privileged still to be seen by her in a way that nobody else quite sees me.